Hey, welcome back. It's Minnie, and I am going to be chatting with you guys today about when I realized I didn't know who the hell I was after motherhood. Baby, it got real. So it all kind of started right around the time, like right after I closed my business. So if you weren't here before or haven't watched my last video, I owned a sugaring hair removal studio in Metro Detroit. We were Metro Detroit's first sugaring hair removal studio. I was proud of that. Okay, I grew that business. At 7 months pregnant with my fourth baby, you guys, I realized this ain't it. Okay, like something gotta give. This ain't it. I'm done. Wrap it up. We're done. Next. There's a whole lot that kind of went into like what the cherry on top was for me, or like what was that ultimate like decider. But honestly, I will sit here and tell you guys, I knew from the very beginning that this was a struggle for me. Just being the type of person that I am, how emotional I am, how sensitive I am, I had a very hard time navigating that business or being a boss. Being a boss by itself, but especially in the beauty industry. And I don't want to like take away from the beauty industry. It's a great industry to get into. You can make a lot of money, be very successful, especially if you're passionate about it. It's wonderful. Maybe I'll do another video on like all the things I kind of experienced, but I'll just kind of do like an overview just to kind of make it all tied together today. I was one of the game changers in like paving the way and laying the foundation for sugaring in Metro Detroit. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't anyone ever in Metro Detroit sugaring. There were a few people here and there, but they did not have full service sugaring hair removal. They, kind of just offered it as like a side thing. So I came through and I was like, I only want to focus on this. This is the only thing I offer. And we're going to actually build an entire studio centered around this service because it is awesome. Baby, it blew up. And the success started coming in, the money started coming in. With anything, you're not going to please everyone. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be something that you have to face. So it got to the point where I started to hire employees, which is a blessing, right? It was amazing. I was very excited. But in experiencing that, I started to kind of realize that, people who treat your business as if it's disposable or as a stepping stone to get on to their next thing. They just need to get the experience and go on about their way. And I've been this person before in the past doing this, but when it's your business and you are so attached to it and you have built this from the ground up, if you have been friends with me or following my journey, you have seen that I truly put blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, like in there doing renovations, injuring myself, doing all the things, like literal blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, it becomes very personal. It's not just my business you treating like this. It's me. Like, especially if you're taking people under your wing and like really, becoming a family with them. Because I've always wanted to run a business where it was like we're family. I did not have that wasn't the mindset that I should have had. You're talking to your clients and or you're hearing things or what have you, and I noticed that I began to kind of like gossip. Even if I didn't mean to gossip, you gossiping when you hearing things and you responding and things like that. And you went to such and such. Oh, you went to her too. Oh, you ain't like her. She said that too. Like, what's she doing up there? Like, you don't mean to, but you're so close to these people, especially with the type of services we were doing. I'm arms deep in your bikini area. Okay, we besties at this point. I mean, you feel me? Like I know all your business. When you build these type of relationships with people, you chit chatting. At the end of the day, you like, dang, like, what am I doing? Dealing with the employees and like having people come in and leave back out and come in and leave back out, and you have to retrain, and you try to be as transparent and open as possible. You still a boss at the end of the day, and you have to make tough decisions, and people don't understand that. And me being a people pleaser as well, it was just like, no, don't be upset. Like, I don't want you to think like that. And now I'm trying to prove everything and I'm trying to show everything to show people that I'm just being honest. I just felt like it was just bang after bang after bang after bang after bang, and I was just like facing so much. And it just kept stressing me out. Like it was draining. And I'll go into again more detail if you guys want to see that stuff about some of the things I experienced, but that's whoo, baby. Okay, listen. So I ended up moving to Georgia in 2019 because I had to get away. I felt like it was the best thing for me as far as like when it comes to my personal life and family and stuff. I just wanted to kind of like have a fresh start. I feel like that's when things kind of really took a toll, especially when COVID came around. I ended up opening up a warehouse in Georgia because I wanted to produce my product on a larger scale. And I ended up closing it because of COVID, and I ended up getting pregnant with my third child at that time. Thankfully, the business stayed afloat and everything was great. That was a blessing. I noticed that when I left, things kind of took a trip downhill because people don't really treat your business how you treat it. You know, you're not there, you can't keep eyes on it like you want to, and you have to hire people to be in that place. But if they, you know, don't care about it like you care about it, it's just, things took a turn. We still had great reviews. We still, you know, had great success even after I left. I had a great training program and all this stuff. But again, you face challenges, right? And I started to get really upset because it was people that I felt like that I was like, I built great relationships with or cool enough with, again, to kind of have some sort of loyalty. You know, they would just leave the business and not tell me like what's going on. It's like, tell me what's going on so I can make the improvement. Tell me what's up. Like that's how I will move, but I can't expect everybody to move how I will move. But I just kind of started to realize like, okay, like I felt like I was spiraling. I felt like the business was spiraling. I felt like it was just, you know, and I was starting to kind of like hold grudges a little bit with people. Cause like, how dare you leave me and don't even tell me what's going on? You don't even give me a chance to fix it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was like, okay, that's whack. You tell me something, I'm gonna fix it. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that everyone was happy. Like, you know, when I closed my business, we 4.9 out of 5 on Google. Okay. Very proud of that because I ain't playing no games when it comes to customer service. If I ever had an issue, guess what? I was reaching out to people personally and we gonna fix it. After years of being out of the game and kind of looking back and realizing like, you know, people handle things differently. People, you know, don't always move the same way or what have you. But you know, it was hurtful at the time, but looking at it through a different lens, it's like, oh, it is what it is. Who cares? A lot of these people have gone on to open their own businesses, and some of them have even reached out to me like, girl, I know exactly what you was going through. The grand scheme of it all, it wasn't for me. It was like, one, obviously, like I just told you guys, it wasn't for me for so many different reasons. But then two, it's also like the stress that I was under, and while trying to parent now 3 children going on 4, it was like, what, like this can't be. Because mentally and emotionally, you guys, I was healing through so many things while navigating the business, while being a parent and trying to mesh the two, and being married and all of the it was just like, girl, you gotta relax and something gotta give. You need some peace somewhere to kind of balance everything. Like, you can't do all of this. I really had to think about it. Like, is it really important for me to provide financially? Because I loved being able to help my family and being able to, you know, help my husband build this like household of 2 incomes, and like we provide and we going on trips and we doing this and we doing that. It was great. But is it really important for me to provide financially, or is it more important for me to be able to give my children the things that money will never be able to replace? During that time, I felt like I was doing a bare minimum as a mom. Like, what I mean by that is like, yeah, I was meeting all of my children's like needs as far as necessities, right? Like, they had the best food. We had playtime, we had this, we had that. But I really wasn't happy. I really didn't have any balance. And for me, it was like, what message am I really sending my children? What am I really teaching them? So when I close the business, when I say that the amount of weight I felt was lifted off of my shoulders, it was crazy. I felt like it was meant to happen because everything was working out so perfectly. It all aligned so beautifully in the way that I closed the business. There was some difficult conversations I had to have, especially because like I had just hired a new team, and so I kind of had to let them down, but I didn't leave them hanging to dry. But once it was all said and done, I felt the biggest relief. I was so calm. Like, I was good. And still to this day, people ask me, do I miss it? And I'm like, hell no. Like, I'm so at peace with my decision. I don't think about it. I don't wish. I don't regret. It was crazy because I had just went through, people probably thought I was nuts, but I had just spent like 60 grand on a renovation. And literally months later, I want to say like maybe 5-6 months late or 7 months later. I ain't gonna tell y'all how I know that, but it's 7 months later after we celebrated the grand reopening with the new redesign to 7 months. You feel what I'm saying? So I had spent all of this money. I know people were like, she just had a renovation. Honestly, the money didn't even matter to me. People were like, you should sell a business. You shouldn't close it. You should do this. You should, like, there's so many things you can do. And I was like, no, I built this business. I'm going to take this business down by myself. Like, it's cool. I don't care about all of that money. I don't care about what I could have profited. I don't care about none of that, because if I build one, I could build another. I'm not worried about that. So now what did this mean? Right? Because I have been working since I was 14 years old. I don't know how to not be a hustler. Okay? I don't know how to not be a hustler, baby. Like, what do I do? So now here I am. I had the baby. It's months later, and I'm kind of going with the flows of life, right? I'm not thinking about anything. I just wanted to focus on having my baby, focus on adjusting to this new life with 4 kids. And, but then you start to try to like feel yourself again. You start to get back into, reality. Then I'm like, okay, I really don't have to work. But now I'm like, I want something for myself. But now I got all these ideas, and I'm like, I don't even know what what I want to do. There's so many, and I've always been a person that has so many different ideas. I've always been ambitious, but I would start something and not execute it, start something, not execute it. That's why I was so proud of myself with the business. Like, you actually started something and pushed through and executed. Like, wow. But now here I am. It's like the possibilities are endless. It's a little tough, obviously, because I have kids, but it's so many things that I can do. It's a blessing to be so good at so many things, but then it becomes very crippling. You feel confused, you feel conflicted, you feel like, okay, well, do I want to do this? You feel overwhelmed. It's just like, it's a mess. So we bought a house, and I always wanted to do DIY and like all this stuff. So I started doing all this DIY stuff. And this is where another kind of shift happened, because I started doing all the DIY stuff in the house. I'm all excited. I'm like, yeah, I finally get to do this stuff. Yeah, this is great. And I hate it. And then I hate it even more because I feel like I never have time, because the kids never let me get anything done. I have to make time for my husband or myself, or like just whatever, because now I'm stretched thin, right? So I feel like I'm not pouring into myself at all. And so at the end of the day, I feel depleted. Now I'm like, well, dang, what do I like? Because I thought I loved that stuff. Do I even like that stuff? And I started to kind of like feel like, dang, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like I never got a lot of the things that I had interest in. I never even really got to try them before. So now I'm like, do I even like that stuff, or I'm just interested in it because, and I had to just sit back and I had to think about, what are the main things that I always thought to myself, I want to do this. And I thought about it more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. Like, okay, what are some of these ideas? Let me go ahead and actually sit down and create plans to execute each of these things. Let me actually start checking them off one by one. I created a list of all the things. So I said I wanted to do a class for sugaring. I put out a DIY sugaring course, and I didn't want to do a professional course because I didn't want to deal with the maintenance of that. I didn't want to deal with the responsibility that came with that, because I feel like if I put out a professional course, I would have to, do assessments and be available for questions and all of this stuff, because people are learning from me and they're taking my method and applying it. And they will be proud to display my name because this is the Sugar Parlors method. I felt like I didn't want to keep up with that type of responsibility with what I had going on at home. So I put out a DIY sugaring course. I made it very, informative. And I was like, okay, I could be available for questions through email. That's cool. I can handle that. But I don't have to worry about assessments. I don't have to worry about all of this stuff because you're doing it at home on yourself, So, but at the end of the day, I put out a class. I did it. I crossed that off my list. Cool. Then I was like, I wanted to be a doula. I always said I wanted to be a doula since my first baby. And I was like, this is something that I was always interested in. So guess what? I put a whole game plan together, and I worked towards creating my doula business and like getting ready to go get certified and all this stuff. And I was at the point where I was creating my calendar and creating my availability for becoming a doula. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I do not want to do this. I don't. I love it. I'm interested in this stuff, especially when I'm pregnant myself and going through the process. But baby, I don't want to do this, because me being as sensitive and emotional as I am, I just knew that type of work was going to require a lot of me and I was going to be taking in a lot of others, this is not the time in my life. And maybe one day, but this is not the time in my life where I can devote myself to something that will require so much of me outside of my family, outside of myself. I can't do it. Now here I am working on my social media stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, it is still very challenging. It is still something I feel like takes a lot out of me, but it is the thing that I do enjoy the most. It is the thing that scares me the least. And I don't mean like in a way where it's like I don't want to take risk or anything like that. What I mean is that even when I do get a little bit nervous about something, or when I do get, feel like I'm about to jump into new territory, or I got to make a leap, it's just not so daunting. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, I don't know about this. It feels more like, yeah, this is a lot, but I can do it. And that's when I realized, okay, this is the realm that I need to focus on. This is where I need to be. Looking at everything, what it all boils down to is feeling. How do I feel? How do things make me feel? For instance, like with the business, I mean, thinking about expanding and opening up more locations, and like here my husband was like, he was like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, because that's he does that, like that's his thing. Every time he mentioned something about it, I would cringe. I would just be like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's how I knew like something not right. I should want to be more successful. I should want to be able to like take this as far as it can go, and I didn't want to, but it was something I felt. Right, moving on to like the doula thing, I got a fear inside of me that I would let people down, because I knew that would require, again, parts of me where I had to truly devote myself and like my time and really be available, because you are talking about women who are emotional themselves, going through a beautiful, precious process. Some of them for the first time, some of them for the last time. And it's just like, I can't drop the ball on that. The most important thing to me is being able to commit myself to something and show up how I said I was going to show up. When I have to let people down, that really bothers me. And right now, I already do that enough in my personal life with my friends. They understand, my life is not my own, but that don't mean it don't bother me. So then when it came down to the social media thing, when it came down to me like creating my own products and putting out my own products, things that I was always passionate in, again, putting it out there on social media, promoting it and like marketing it and things like that, it wasn't so scary. Like, it was scary, but it wasn't like in a bad way. It was just like I felt more at ease. And so for anyone who's going through what I went through, who's like at a crossroad where it's just like, who am I? What am I doing? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I not happy? Why am I feeling depressed and having to fight through this so often? Like, what's going on? Sit down and just think about how things make you feel, and just kind of assess what's going on. Learn to listen to your body, learn to listen to your heart. You have to learn to kind of dig and pick through those feelings and understand yourself, because that is where your answers are. I was reading something one day that said, or maybe I was watching a reel or something, but it was like, if it feels like a yes, then it's a yes. But if it feels like a no, then it is a no. When someone asks you to do something, you don't really want to do it. You really want to say no, but you say yes, but now your leg is shaking, or now you feel like, and now I messed your whole day up. You have to learn how things truly make you feel. And that is when you can truly decide what it is you want to do and what it is you don't want to do. And that is how I got to where I am now. I'm still trying to figure things out. I still don't know, a lot of different things, but I say I'm on a right path. I have a good way of kind of assessing situations and getting through my life, you know what I mean? And I'm appreciative of that. Now, I still can't lean completely on my own understanding. I still have to have faith. But again, I do believe that I am now better equipped than I was before, and managing my life, and it's such a beautiful thing when you get to this space and you just kind of get to know like who you were versus who you are and who you want to be. Again, you still got so much to figure out along the way, but just having some sort of clarity, because I don't necessarily got to know it all. I don't want to know it all, because that would scare the hell out of me, to be honest. I don't want to know it all. Let me have a little bit of ignorance, all right? A little bit of bliss. So listen, I've been there. Again, in a lot of ways, I'm still coming out of it. And if you are in that space, just, take a step back. however many steps back. Don't let the society pressures or pressure from your peers or pressure from your friends, from your family get to you. You only know you. You only know what you feel. And that's what you got to move on. I'm telling you right now, my husband was pissed. Like, I'm pretty sure, right? You know, but in my face, he was supportive. In my face, he was like, all right, whatever you want to do, that's what we gonna do. He ain't had no choice but to understand, to be honest, because at the end of the day, I was like, I'm doing this. Like, I don't want to do this no more. And sometimes you just got to stand up for yourself like that. And whoever gonna support you, they're gonna be there. And that's the real test, baby. So for somebody out there, listen, I just want to encourage you to focus on you and what you feel. Hone in on that. Focus on that. Focus on whatever is rocking your core, whatever is feeding you, whatever is not feeding you, whatever God is revealing to you, and move accordingly. Because at the end of the day, you'll have the most peace when you've been real with yourself. Thank you guys for popping up on me. You're always welcome, and I'll see you guys in another video. We're gonna try to lighten it up a little bit, have some fun around here, okay? That's what we're gonna try to do. See y'all.